The Committee on Environment, Land, Agriculture, and Procurement Reform calls this public hearing to order. It is now 2 minutes after 7 p.m. on October 12th, 2018. We are here at the Gef Pago Chamorro Cultural Village in Inalahan. Present with me this evening is Senator Regine Bisco-Lee. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive testimony on Bill number 341-34 COR, introduced by myself, Senator Jimmy Espaldon, and Senator Tommy Morrison. It is an act to authorize the Department of Land Management to exchange land as referenced in Public Law 17-49, Public Law 17-81, and Public Law 22-18. Lots in the exchange for land in lots in the Iha area, municipality of Inalahan, for lots in the Gef Pago area. Notice of this evening's public hearing was provided to senators, stakeholders, and the local media on October 5th, 2018 and October 10th, 2018, thus meeting the requirements of the open government law. The committee will continue to receive written testimony until 4 p.m. on Monday, October 15th. Please address testimonies to Senator Thomas Sierra, Chairperson, Committee on Land, and can be dropped off to the mailboxes of the legislature or email to office at senatoradda.org. So we'll go ahead and we'll begin receiving testimony. And I would like to first start with testimony from Department of Land Management. Matt? So for the record, please testify. Please identify yourself and your position with the department. Okay.
Read out for
sure.
All right. Buenas noches. Bill 341-34 seeks to exchange properties of the last known registered owners of Gef Pago lots to be developable lots in the Iha area of Inalahan. While the Chamorro Land Trust respects the authority of the Guam legislature to authorize transaction of government lands, the concern is that this land trade takes land out of the CLT inventory and returns nothing to the CLTC. It obscures the fact that the land to be traded is developable prime CLTC land and not just land from the DLM inventory. In addition, this bill is not in the interest of the CLTC beneficiaries who are waiting for developable lands to build their homes or farm. That being said, there is also the added cost of executing this bill should it become law. Real costs expressed in the bill include the issuance of certified mail notices, publication of notices, and surveying of lots for 28 owners or estates. Our estimated cost of the services is approximately $27,000. Therefore, we request this bill include new authorization and appropriation of the funds to cover the cost. We thank you for the opportunity to provide this testimony.
Okay, thank you. Now, I guess my first question is that is there sufficient land up at Iha to be able to carve out 28 quarter-acre lots?
There is.
There is. There is sufficient
in the Iha area.
Right. Okay. All right, Senator, do you have any questions?
Test. There we go. So other than the $27,000, if that you take issue with the fact that the land trade takes land out of the CLTC inventory and doesn't replace it, and in addition to that, you have the issue of all of the costs with regard to surveying and the cost of those services is approximately $27,000. So if the committee is able to identify this funding, this authorization, would land management be amenable to that? Would they, do you know?
It seems like that's what our director is saying. I was just given this morning.
Understood.
So it seems like if they appropriate it, you know, he would.
So you're saying now the costs to be incurred is the cost of sending out the notices to these landowners, right?
And survey.
And then the cost of surveying. And what's land management's cost estimate?
20, what did he put here?
27,000.
27,000.
Okay. All right. Fine. All right. I don't have any further questions. So, but if you just make yourself available, the people in the audience might have some questions. I'd like to go ahead. Thank you very much, Mr. Kinata. I'd like to go ahead and call for it now. Mayor Doris Lujan and Ms. Angie Terlahi. Taidiwi, I'm sorry. Okay, Mayor.
Buenas and Hafades, Honorable Senators Tom Ada and Regine Biscali. And for the record, my name is Doris Flores Lujan, the Mayor of Inalahan. I would like to thank you, Honorable Senator Tom Ada, also Senators Tommy Morrison and Jim Espaldon for introducing the bill 341-34. On behalf of the community of Inalahan, I am pleased to offer testimony in support of this bill to authorize DLM to exchange lots in the municipality of Inalahan for lots in the Gef Pago area. I want to thank you for the opportunity to hear my testimony tonight, and I hope and pray that this will be in your favor, and it's due time that we compensate the landowners for the Gef Pago area for what we are currently enjoying here as the Gef Pago cultural area. And I thank you again.
Thank you, Mayor. Angie?
Holidays, or buenas, senators, thank you for the long drive down. I have a written testimony, and I also want to submit it in to your office. But if I may read it to you. Dear Senator Ada, I'm sorry, Holidays, Senator Ada, and members of the Committee of the Environment of Land, Agriculture, and Procurement Reform. My name is Angie Rose Chrysostomo Query Taidigui, and I reside at 122 Tunwan Taidigui Street in Inalahan, which is across the bay from here. As a resident and a proud daughter of Inalahan, I am happy to stand before you today as I provide testimony in support of Bill number 341-34, an act to authorize the Department of Land Management to land exchange a reference in Public Law 17-49, Public Law 17-81, and Public Law 22-18 lots in the Iha area municipality of Inalahan for lots from the Gef Pago area. My mother is Resita Meno Chrysostomo Query, the landowner of M06 Block 11, Lot 99, Inalahan, Guam. I hold a signed power of attorney to act on my mother's behalf regarding any and all issues and concerns relative to M06 Block 11, Lot 99, Inalahan, Guam. However, I would like to request a specific section of another bill, Bill number 110-34, that was authorized by Senator Rodriguez, Uggan, Cherlahi, and San Augustine in regards to condemnation to private property, landowners be incorporated within Bill number 341-34. Therefore, there was never a public hearing held for this bill, number 110-34. In addition to the land exchange as referenced in Bill number 341-34, I would like that all landowners receive an additional compensation either in monetary or an additional land. The reason being, Senators, is that the land was taken away from the landowners in 1976 after Typhoon Pamela, over 40 years ago. Compensation is long overdue. Si Diyos Maasi for giving me the opportunity to testify for this Bill 341-34 for your consideration and for your additional compensation of the landowner's land. And that is what I want to submit, but I have my own say-so. Lot 99 sits, if you take a look here, and I'm really glad you had it here, right there in the middle of the road. If you look into there, DPW came in, put a road on it. There is a water line, a sewer line, and GPA line on there. The government of Guam for 40-some years have been benefiting. I have been paying, my family, my mother, my aunt, and I have been paying the property taxes while the government is benefiting off my family and other families here. So as I heard the Director of Land Management's letter earlier, I was kind of like, okay, it's a burden to them for $27,000, and there's, what are they going to get back for the CLT inventories? Well, you know, let's put the people onto this, because Gef Pago, if once the land is exchanged from these families, Gef Pago can then rebuild, go out, get grants, do whatever, and revitalize this area. But right now, what's stopping them is this land. And a lot of, my mother is 80-some years old, living in the United States due to her medical health. And we subsidize part of her medical income, my husband and I. And so with what I'm asking for, for the past 40 years that my family, that the government has taken over and benefiting in and out, I have did a lot of research through my family asking, I even asked my grandmother, I said, Mom, did you give authorization, anything? She said, no doubt. The mayor, former mayor came over to me and said, Talia, they're gonna make a road, okay? And then she said, Kwade, you're the mayor, and that was it. A road was placed, utility lines went in. So what then happens with her great-grandchildren, her grandchildren and great-grandchildren? Where now? So I'm sorry to say, Mr. Director of Land Management, if $27,000 is a burden to you guys, but think of us family that for over 40 years that still want our land back. We want something. And we were given the opportunity of many land exchange in the past. What had happened, we were given a land up at Harendu, behind the middle school. We found out it was a rendu out to someone who had passed away, but their family kept on paying the CLT. We were then given an opportunity to choose a land up here where the public health, where the new fire station and the senior citizen. That was the land, the prime land that my family was willing to go for. We were on the way to make that settlement. But then it was pulled back from us to say, because the government of Guam had plans to put in a fire station and a senior citizen center. They then offered our family a land up in Malolo, over by the cliff line area, in the backside of Malolo toward the cliff line. When my aunt and I went to take a look at it, I looked at her and I said, what is this? How can you build on rocks? You know, it's going to cost us more to re-excavate all these rocks and what? I said, no, I don't think my mom would want this. So when we kept asking and asking, My aunt died down. My mom went back to the States. I went back to help her with her medical concerns. Coming back now and making my home here in Guam for so many years now, I have gone through so many senators. I'm really glad, and I want to thank you for putting this through, and I hope that this bill does not die down. And I want to let you know that I have been lobbying with the other senators to vote on this. Also, I have did my own lobbying. It's time for Inalahan, the people and the landowners here to get, because some families were given good land exchange, and I know those families. They were given the opportunity, which I don't know why, got really good land exchange, and even a bigger portion of a land exchange. And please help us look into Bill 110. Now, I know the government is financially strapped with cash at this point, but even a land, I want the land exchange in reference as in Bill 341-34, but I also want to be compensated with regardless with land also, and it may not have to be here in Inalahan. You can give me a land elsewhere that I can lease out and help my mom financially with that, because that is what she deserves, to be getting her medical needs back in the mainland taken care of. And I just want to really air that out, because it's really a burden toward our family so many years now. So that's all, senators, that I would like to push to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Taidigui. And the points that you raised certainly are very valid. But I think with Bill 341, what it does is it starts the conversation in a formal way. I imagine there's going to be still quite a bit of discussion that will go on with the other agencies, with land management, with the Chamorro Land Trust Commission, because we're going to be taking land out of that inventory. And if we run out of time during this term, the important point is that we have started the conversation. Well, with Senator Lee, she'll still be here the next term. I know she'll be coming back in the next term. And although I won't, this is going to be my last term, I'm still going to be on island. I'm still going to be around, and I want to, keep an eye on this conversation that we've started and make sure that we bring it to some kind of closure. But what motivated this bill was so that this site, where for many years everybody thought it was a government piece of property, and this was the place where we built and displayed our culture, only to find out that it actually belongs to 28 different landowners. And so in fairness to them, we got to look for that land exchange, and we've got to then set a good foundation for the Gef Pago to be able to flourish and proudly display our culture. So with that, Mayor, did you want to have any closing remarks? Or?
Yes, Senator.
You're on.
I would like to find out from the Department of Land Management, out of the 28 landowners, have any of them been compensated with an exchange of land? And is there a list available that we can look at?
Okay. Mr. Kanata? Matt? Younger.
Matt,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, so maybe if you can go ahead and grab a seat and
Not off the top of my head, but there's been a few landowners that have been compensated or exchanges were completed. We're focusing on this, but this initial thing started from the bridge coming all the way down this way. So there's several owners that have been either compensated or we did exchanges with.
okay. So precedent has been set already.
Yes, since the initial law took
Right.
since the 17th Guam legislature law.
Right, and there was also public laws that were enacted authorizing the land exchanges. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there a way that I can get a copy of that, of the list of people, landowners that were compensated for a land exchange?
That list is currently being worked on with our office to validate, everything that happened here. We also, I know there are recorded agreements to exchange with these landowners already. So the motion was set already, and then we just stumbled across. A lot of it was we were dealing with heirs to, the properties, and some of the properties were substandard lots or fractional lots.
Right.
And that was the issues we were having with some of the family members.
So Mayor Lujan, I'll commit to you then that the committee will do research to at least identify which lots have, or which landowners that were here for, prior have received land exchanges, and at least we'll fill out that piece of the information.
Thank you, Senator.
Okay.
I have another question. Okay, of all the 28 lot owners, I mean, you said that you need what, $27,000 to notify all the landowners, regarding this bill. Do you have their current addresses? Because most of them have already gone. And I mean, do you have a listing of how are you going to contact those people? Probably, maybe 75% of the landowners are already gone. I mean, here you are. You're going to spend $27,000 to notify these, the heirs or whatever, the heirs of the lot owners. But majority of the landowners are, except with the exception of her mother, she still owns a land and she's still alive. But I mean, how are you going to get the notification to these people?
The $27,000 was for notification and survey. The 28 landowners is just a small amount of postage for notification. Right. The majority of that 27,000 would come for survey cost. Yeah. Survey, mapping, engineering work, and everything else that needs to be done to parcel out.
Now, is there a way that if you cannot get a hold of the addressee, is there a way that you probably can get with the mayor's office and find out if if you know of any heirs that is still alive, and then that's instead of returning it, on claim. I mean, you people should have gone to the mayor's office and said, Mayor, we need verification. Are there any family members that are still around so that we can reach out to the family members? Is that possible, Matt?
Yes, Mayor. That's possible. We've worked with several of the previous mayors with both the notifications for the landless and even this Gef Pago project. We've worked with with the different mayors that were here, and
So I think subsequent to this public hearing, then we start getting into the details of finding out who the original landowner was, and then trying to trace where we are up to today. So it may be a descendant who has a power of attorney to act on matters, and we'll have to do that for each of the 28 landowners. So, Senator, do you have a question?
I had a question for Mayor Doris. So you had mentioned in your testimony that you were looking forward to kind of revitalizing this area, and that there may have been, and perhaps there's a representative from Gef Pago here that might be able to answer this question, but it's my understanding that there has been an attempt to maybe receive grant funding, and this issue with the land is something that's kind of acting as a roadblock to that. We're not able to do that. We're not able to make full utilization of this property, of this area, because of our land issue. The land issue is not settled. So I guess my question is, what are your plans for, if this is, once this is settled, if this bill passes?
Well, currently, Gef Pago is not under the administrative jurisdiction of the mayor's office. It's under the historic Inalahan Foundation. So I'm a member of the ex officio of the board. So we I just sworn in the new board members. So that's probably something that we will be addressing. And Mr. Carlos here, Paulino, can probably attest to that too.
Okay, and Mayor, I guess one of my other questions would be, in the future, if we're able to pass this bill and we're able to kind of reconcile all of these issues, the idea for Gef Pago is just to be able to revitalize this place,
Yes.
have local residents and tourists alike come and celebrate our culture
Definitely.
here, and maybe increase opportunity for jobs here in Inalahan. Is that
Absolutely.
can you tell
Yes.
us a little bit more about what you're envisioning?
Well, we actually have a revitalization plan, Inalahan revitalization plan, and there are 8 phases to that plan. So we'll take it a step at a time. But yes, we definitely would like to rejuvenate Gef Pago, because this is where the culture, and we perpetuate our language. So this is a first start. We need to bring Inalahan back, and like Angie says, once the landowners are compensated and the land is under maybe the mayor administrative jurisdiction, the mayor's office, we can get together and submit grants, and we have generations, and we need to preserve our culture here, and yes, we do have plans for revitalizing, especially Gef Pago, and of course the other abandoned homes around our village. But
That's
yeah.
great. Yes, thank you, Mary, for sharing that. I think that's going to be really important to the other members of the committee, and for them to get an idea of why it's so important to move this bill forward. And Ms. Taidawi, thank you so much for sharing your story. And unfortunately, your mom's not here on island to be with us, but yeah, we certainly want to do what we can with the committee and with this bill to ensure that people have just compensation for, especially if your family has been paying the government your property taxes every year, and there wasn't really a legal binding agreement for this land to be used in the first place. It sounds like it was just a conversation between the mayor and your mother, or your grandmother, many years ago. So it's important for us to try to do what we can as a government to rectify this, and also get the best use for this beautiful property. And I'm so glad that the chairman was able to have the public hearing here, so that we could really just be reminded about where we are and this beautiful space, and get that vision of what could potentially be here in the future. So Ms. Taidawi, thank you very much. And thank you very much, Mr. Leongra, for being here and answer all of our questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, senators, for coming down, and thank you for hearing us. And I hope that something like, as Mayor says, yes, because I want to let you know that the community of Inalahan, and when it comes to Gef Pago, we all want to see something of it, because it's to me, it breaks our heart when we drive by here and we see, and when my mom says, "How's Gef Pago doing now?" and I said, "Never mind, Mom. It's okay. It's all right. It's striving, And at times in the past, I brought my family out here to help, and the mayor knows we did, and and Uncle Carlos knows we did that here on this pavement here. We moved boulders with my basketball team, youth. When we ask the community to come out and help, they come out. And right now, everything is just idle because of everything that's happening. But we want to really, while our youth are still youth, to come out and do something, right? But thank you again.
Thank you very much. And I certainly have had good memories of Gef Pago, many years ago, where you can come down and see for yourself how salt was made, the weaving, pretty much good memories of how our people used to live. So I too would like to see that revitalized. Yes.
I wanted to let you guys know that a few months it was in, I believe, mid-August, I worked for the Guam Council of Arts and Humanity Agency, CAHA. So as a new member of Kaha, I was given traditional and folk art. It was just something that I guess I had the nature of being from the South. So I had brought over to my supervisor what my plans was, what I wanted to do. So when the representative from Washington, D.C. came out from the NEA, Pam, I asked her, I said, I have been doing a lot of research on grants through the NEA and what I want to do, I says, I have a community down south where I live called Gef Pago. I want to know how and what can we do here in Kaha to help them bring back our culture down there. I want to see apprentices of our youth coming in and working with bring the masters down to Gef Pago, Kaha masters, and teach these kids, work with Uncle Carlos, work with Auntie Rosita as an apprenticeship. She then told me that there was a grant that we can apply, that Kaha can apply and be administrated through Kaha to work with Gef Pago, with the Historic Inalahan Foundation. And I'm right now in communication with her, and she's putting me into the right track of people. It's just that at the time it was too late to submit anything, because to do a really big grant, it takes a lot of research in it. So I want to work with the mayor. I want to work with with a lot of the community in what we want to see, and I want to incorporate that into our grant application. And those are the things. But once we get all that issue cleared out with the land, and then we can go forth, because there's a lot of dreams that I want to put forth here at Gef Pago, because I grew up when it was up there behind the church.
Lanson Antigo.
Yeah, the Lanson Antigo. I grew up following my grandmother up there because she was always up there. Then when they moved down here, I grew up with her down here. And so that's why I says I have a heart for Gef Pago, and it'll never leave my heart. And so when I was telling my supervisor, I says, I really want to work in bringing and revitalizing Gef Pago back, and let's try to help them. We have a lot of masters in Kaha that can do the apprentice down there. And that way, as they're doing the apprentices, the tourists can come. I don't have nothing against the hotels, but to do an apprentice at a hotel and where's the value of culture there, But that's all I want to say, that I would like to have Kaha work with Gef Pago, and even with Sagan Kature also, and let's revitalize, let's show what Guam is all about.
No, I just want to echo what you had said. My grandmother was born and raised here in Inalahan. My mother was baptized at the church, and my grandparents were married there. So it also has this very special place in my heart. And yeah, I just want to, again, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Mrs. Taidagui and Mayor and Mr. Leon Guerrero. Thank you for helping us to figure out what the issues are that we might be able to address with this bill and get it moving forward. And thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Senator. And so with Matt, do you have any final thing to say? Okay. And so with that, then, I want to thank everybody. Thank you, Mayor, for hosting us at this site for this public hearing. Thank you for your hospitality. Mr. Leon Guerrero, thank you for coming down here to present the testimony for land management. And with that, then, we're going to go ahead and call this, we'll consider Bill 341-34 as having been duly heard, and we will now adjourn. It is now 7:40 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.